Okay, I've got enough here to do a soaking video. I'm on day 5 at the moment, so there'll be more today that I'll soak either tomorrow or the next day. However, I've just got a normal laundry bucket. This is Vanish. I find that Vanish works really well. The other one that works really well is a company called Sard. So generally I'll have both on the go at the same time and kind of alternate between the two. This is just a bucket, like a bin bucket. This liner is like flannel. I got it with a sheet set. It just happened to line the bucket really, really well. And generally these should be, openly accessible to air. So this is obviously the system that I use in my house. Primarily when I'm out and about and using cloth pads, I'll have a wet bag with me. I don't tend to use a wet bag in the house just because I find it's unnecessary to enclose off the pads that way. Generally there is no smell. This does not smell. This pile does not smell. As you can tell, there's quite a few in there. It doesn't smell at all. When you have them in wet bags, what I find is that it can get a little bit smelly just because the opening at the top is not wide enough. So you'll get quite a small opening, which means there's not enough air circulation. So I find with this there's enough air circulation, and being that it's lined with this flannel and then this kind of hard plastic on the outside, you don't get the same smell. What I've also got to soak here is I use wet ones. Particularly when I have my period, I use these types of wet ones just to help clean up when I change my pad at home. Generally, if I'm at work or outside of the house, I will use my cup. I have different types. These ones here, this hedgehog and this unicorn, are peppermint and lavender. This one down the bottom, as you can see, is a different type of flannel. And these are flannel, by the way. This is a different type of flannel. These are tea tree oil. So it depends on, what I'm cleaning up, what I want my skin to do, where my skin is at any one time. These are some of my underwear that unfortunately has got some bloodstains on it, as is sometimes what happens. I think this one here is the worst one at the moment, and that was the one that I used overnight. Outside of that, I have taken quite a few comparison shots, and these will be up on my Instagram. You can always look up my Instagram under Rebellious Menstruation. But other than that, let's get some water in here. I generally will find that 1 scoop is enough. Generally, if I have less in the, not even a full cup, probably 2/3 of a cup. Generally, if I have less than this lot, I'll use less oxy. But as I have a lot, we'll go with that. Okay, now we have a bucket with cold water and oxy in it. We're gonna tip these out and go with that. So what I'm going to do with all these now is sort them out into how soiled they are. Okay. So this would be less soiled, this would be more soiled, and this is little soiled. The reason why some of these buttons are done up is because it's usually just easier to store them in the box when in the bucket. Sometimes this can be kind of arbitrary, but so we just undo all the ones that are clipped up. But really what we're looking for is to get them into a semblance of order so we can put them into here with the heaviest at the bottom and the lightest at the top. Okay, so now we've got this, we'll start layering them in. Put them face down in the cold water, and because really that's the place that we're soaking from. Sometimes you'll have to manipulate them around depending on the size of them. I haven't really found the perfect bucket to do this in. This is really the longest kind of easily accessible commercial variety. Now, as you're probably noticing already, some of these float to the top. It's generally because they have hidden layers of PUL in them, and it kind of will make them do this, is balloon up. Also, the front stitching on most of these pads is sewn to the top. So, but this back part, so all of this bit at the front is sewn down, so all the internal layers are sewn to the front of the pad. The back is just sewn at the back, which means the back just tends to balloon out and float up. But I'll show you how I solve that problem in a minute once we got all of these in. This is when I'll put heavier items on, like underwear, that I need to soak to actually help hold these down. And then last but not least, I'll layer these over the top. When I layer these over the top, it just makes sure that those pads keep down into the water. Now what I'll do is I'll keep this bucket going for about 12 hours, so essentially all day, because it's quite early in the day at the moment. And then I will rinse all this out and do it again, essentially overnight, and then in the morning I'll put them in the wash. The reason I do a 24-hour soak is so that essentially there's no stain. I do have stain sticks. I have a variety of stain sticks, to be honest, but I found that if you soak them for too little of time and they still stain, if you soak them for too long, you'll get, you know, the water attacks bugs. I mean, I live in a very hot country. So really what you're looking for is soaking them enough time to get the stains out, but not enough to cause bacterial damage. Also, I find that after about 12 hours the water won't take anymore. So, you know, some of these pads that we put in here were quite heavily soiled. So what we want is that blood to all come out. Tip out the water in the garden, do this again, essentially rinse out the pads and put them in a soak again. So the first one really just gets out the blood from all the internal layers, which is kind of important because you can't really see the internal layers. You can see surface stains on the pads, but you can't really see what's going on inside unless you open them up, which obviously kind of defeats the purpose. So what we're looking at here is the first soak getting out all the blood, and the second soak really removes all the stains. And if you work or go to school, you're out of the house for the majority of the day anyway. So in which case, what you can do is, you know, put this on, depending on when you do your washing, put this on, go to work, come back, replace the water, do the washing in the morning. You know, it's not that hard to integrate into your life. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to leave this for the next 12 hours. Okay, well this is the next morning. What you actually missed yesterday afternoon, because I didn't record it, was that I'd emptied out the bucket and replaced the water and rinsed everything out. This morning we're just going to empty this out. So obviously these are all the pads. These ones here essentially don't need any more further treating and can go straight in the wash. Same as these. These can also be washed in with your sheets or your towels, because essentially they're just flannel anyway. So what I do now is, so these have been soaked into 12-hour lots. I then go through them, see if there's any surface staining. When there's not, they go straight in the wash. This one here, it's kind of like a minky. This can stain a little bit, but not today. This is Booby Bear, also the maker's Venus pads. This one very rarely stains. Even actually when you bleed on it, you can bleed on it quite a lot and it will only be a little red on top. To be honest, I'll be surprised if I find any stains on any of these. So if you'd watched my video yesterday, or if you watched my earlier video, you'll see all of the blood stain. This has got a little bit of a surface stain here. So what I'll do is I'll use a little bit of Vanish. This is one of my favourites. I practically wear it every cycle, and as you can see, doing a double soak essentially cleans it right up. sure if you can really see it, there's a little bit of a shadow here. Even though blue can stain quite badly, this one here very rarely, if ever, stains. There are a few shadow stains there, so we'll put some of this on. I think this is one is nearly emptying out. That's okay, I have another couple. I have another 2. But this will do the job sufficiently for this time being. This is seriously one of my favourite overnights. It was made by Go With Your Flow, Hello Kitty on the top obviously, and a corduroy back, so it very rarely moves. Okay. Okay. Now that they're all in the wash, we'll put the machine on, and then I'll, now that they're all in, I'll bring you back when we're hanging them out. Okay, there are generally 3 ways to hang your stuff. You can do it on a peg line like this. I've got 2 of them, as you can tell. You can hang them to a line via this type of strap. These are from Handmade by Hetty. Or you can hang them directly on the line, but try and do it where you hit the sun, because obviously the sun's also a natural antibacterial. Okay, this is the wool hangout in the sun. This also will help with their drying, and sun should bleach the rest of the shadow stains out. So as you can see, there is a variety of way to hang them. I do live in a very hot country, so it means that, you know, it's also summer here, which means that we have the benefit of hanging them out in the sun. And this is them all bought in from the line now. As you can see, stain free and dry. So that pretty well much completes my wash of cloth pads. I will be doing a what I wore this month video, so stay tuned for that, and I'll give you more information about the pads, or you can just ask down below. Thanks.